Hello and welcome to On the Front Porch, where we inform our community and connect our neighbors to resources that improve the quality of their life. I'm Douglas Hairston from the Mayor's Office. I direct the Front Porch Alliance, and it's always a pleasure to bring more new information to you. This isn't new information today, but we are going to be focusing on the Marion County, the Purdue Extension of Marion County, and they're celebrating 100 years. And here to talk a little bit more about that is Steve Wagner, the Executive Director. Steve? Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Appreciate you coming on today and talking more about the Purdue Extension of Marion County. Tell us about this 100-year thing that's going on.
Well, this is a special year. The Smith-Lever Act was signed by the President of the United States on May 8th, 1914. Okay. So this is our centennial year, the 100th anniversary. So it's very special for the national organization all around the country.
And then, of course, we have an extension just for Marion County, right?
Right. Every county in Indiana has a local extension office. And so we're the educational arm of Purdue University. And the Smith-Lever Act created the Cooperative Extension Service. And so all counties around the country have extension staff hard at work doing educational programming.
Well, that's fantastic. So part of what we're going to be doing today is we're going to have a little bit of cooking and a little bit of food. As you can see, we've got some good things to eat laid out in front of us. And to help us out with that is going to be Julie Gray. Julie, welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for coming on today. So talk to me a little bit about what you do at Purdue Extension.
Okay, the dietitians in our office provide resource-based information to all residents of Indianapolis, and we talk to them and educate them on food safety, nutrition, wellness, and the importance of being active. And in addition to that, our nutrition education staff work specifically with families and individuals who receive SNAP, and we help those families learn and individuals learn how to stretch their food dollar, learn how to cook, and also how to eat healthier on a budget.
That is fantastic. We also have one other guest that's going to be with us this morning, Kiernan Lee. Kiernan, thank you, Kiernan. It's good to have you here today. What is your role with Purdue Extension?
Well, my role is,
How do you participate with Purdue Extension?
well, I go to meetings. I'm in the robotics club,
The Robotics Club, okay.
and I'm going to be participating in the poultry show.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you have chickens at home then?
Yes.
Oh, that is great. So in today's segment, as we were talking about food and how to prepare it, Julie, you're going to talk a little bit more about how folks can go about creating a really good meal, right?
Exactly. What we're going to do is just with some planning, and having your kitchen and your cupboards well stocked, anybody can prepare a meal for their family that's going to be healthy, inexpensive, quick, not a lot of pots and pans to clean up, and most of all, it's going to be very tasty. Okay. So we're going to really, in our kitchen, we want to be able to have things on stock from the protein group. Okay. So we can have meats, we can even use leftovers. What do you do if you have that one pork chop left that's not going to feed the family? You can dice that up and make what we would call a skillet meal. So when we think of proteins, we're going to be thinking about ground meat, chicken, pork, ham, beans, fish and tuna, and again, our beans are going to be the less expensive products that we use. Products like this, canned beans, can be very inexpensive and they're very, very nutritious for us. So our meal is going to include a protein-based food. We also want to have vegetables. Most Americans don't get enough vegetables in their diets, and vegetables come in a variety of forms. Canned can be purchased all year long, and depending on the season, canned may be the least expensive. But vegetables also can come in a frozen form, a fresh form, and we can even have vegetables in a dehydrated form, like these dehydrated onions. These can be purchased for about $1 at supermarkets and can add a lot of flavor to our foods. So we're going to be using vegetables. We're also going to be using dairy products, milk, skim milk, low-fat milk, cheeses, again, cheeses that are going to be made from skim milk products. And we're also going to use some soup-based products today that are lower in salt and lower in sodium. And then the last ingredient in our skillet meal is going to be grain products. We really want to emphasize the use of the whole grain products. Whole grain products are going to provide us with the most nutrition and also going to have the most fiber and be the healthiest for us. So we're going to, grain products can be rice, pastas, noodles. And the nice thing about what we're doing today is we're not going to cook any of the pasta products ahead of time. We're going to put them in our skillet uncooked.
Okay. today's show is going to be a little bit extended from what we've had before, and we've just lost some of our grain products. But also today we'll have, talking about the safety, we'll have Christina Ferroli coming in and talking a little bit more about that. So do you want to go ahead and get cooking started?
Sure. So Kieran, what are you going to choose for your meal?
Well, pink salmon,
Corn, soup,
chicken,
and spaghetti.
spaghetti.
All right. And that will be one of our dishes that we make. Steve, what are you going to prepare for your meal?
So I'm going to choose some ground beef.
Ground beef,
I grew up on a beef farm, so we'll
Okay.
have some beef, tomatoes,
tomatoes,
some cheese,
cheese.
and elbow macaroni.
Excellent. We're going to put these in our skillet, and in about 20 minutes, these will be ready for us to taste.
Workouts are better with music.
Business is better with music.
Sports are better with music.
Education is better with music.
Nightlife is better with music.
Holidays are better with music.
Life, it's better with music.
To support the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra with a donation or to purchase tickets, call 639-4300.
Welcome back, and we're here in the City Market on the front porch, and I have Christina Ferroli with me. Welcome,
Hello.
Christina. Thanks for coming out today. And Christina's going to be talking to us about ServSafe, as well as a couple other programs that are going on. What is ServSafe, Christina?
ServSafe is a National Restaurant Association training for food retail managers. Per Indiana state law, all food retailers have to have a person or manager in charge trained on safe food handling.
Sure.
And ServSafe is the national program. There are other programs, but it is the program that is sponsored by the Indiana Restaurant and Hospitality Association, and I am one of the instructors. I've been teaching ServSafe for 18 years through the Indiana Restaurant and Hospitality Association, and you register through them. I personally train about 200 food retail, food handlers, food managers a year on
How often
ServSafe.
are the classes?
I do offer them monthly in
Okay.
our offices
Great.
at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. You do register through the Indiana Hospitality and Restaurant Association, so you go to their website.
So anybody that has a restaurant or they're serving food as a retail
Exactly.
has to have the certificate, as well as the restaurant certificate from the state, as well as the ServSafe programming training.
Exactly.
And that
yes.
includes some churches as well, right?
Well, there are some non-exempt groups, but it is to your advantage to get trained.
Okay.
That way you know what you're doing, and it looks good to have the certificate in case the health inspectors show up.
Well, that is a great idea. And you also mentioned that dining with diabetes, right?
Yes, that's another signature program that I offer through our office. It's actually a collaborative partnership project that I have with Sequoia Aging and Home Solutions. We target older adults,
Okay.
and Sequoia has graciously funded the project for about 5 years now, and we reach about 200 to 300 older adults who are either diabetic, pre-diabetic, or caregivers, and they get to participate in a 4-session training and a session follow-up, and they learn skills on how to better take care of their diabetes, manage their blood sugar, eat more healthy, and they also learn what important medical tests they need to keep track of just to be healthier as a diabetic.
Well, and I think that one of the myths is you can't have good tasting food if you're on a certain diet, but there are ways to make sure that you have good tasting food.
Exactly, and that's what Dining with Diabetes is all about. We share recipes with the participants and show them that they can eat healthy, they can eat a variety of foods, they can even eat foods that they like, and still be healthy and watch their blood sugars. This year we're actually extremely fortunate. We've received a grant through Anthem, Blue Cross and Blue Shield Foundation to offer Dining with Diabetes in Marion County and the surrounding counties. So we're expanding the program out to older adults in Indianapolis and the surrounding counties. So we're extremely grateful to those partnerships.
That's great. Learning more about the way that you prepare your food and ways to stay healthy and keep active. We've actually talked quite a bit about diabetes here on the front porch. So I think this goes hand in hand, helping people really connect to the resources that they need in order to make good decisions in their life.
Oh, definitely. And And it's day in and day out. We're constantly bombarded with decision making, and that's just what Dining with Diabetes is, giving you some tools and some information to help you make the best decisions for yourself and your family.
Oh, that's great. Now, you also have some programs for kids that happen during the summer as well, don't you?
Yes, we do. We are partnered with the Summer Youth Program Fund, and we provide enrichment programs for youth that participate in summer camps throughout Indianapolis. We do nutrition, physical activity, gardening, and science programs with them. We've been really fortunate. We've been funded for 8 years by the Lilly Endowment, and we're able to provide experiential learning programs in nutrition, gardening. We even have walking clubs.
Wow.
We have butterfly adventures, and we have a science program on it's called aerospace.
Aerospace, okay. Well, it sounds like you have a learning experience on the go for a variety of folks.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. We serve all audiences.
Right. Well, Christina, thank you for being with us. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's your phone number?
You can reach us at our offices, Purdue Extension, Marion County, 275-9305. Thank you.
Thanks for being with us, and we'll be right back.
Violence doesn't start with a slap. It starts with control. As a father, I am concerned for the safety of our children, especially when they begin to engage in relationships.
Dating abuse is a pattern of behavior when one person issues threats or actually uses physical, sexual, verbal, or emotional abuse to control his or her dating partner.
Nearly 1.5 million high school students nationwide experience physical abuse from a dating partner each year.
Violent behavior often begins between the ages of 12 and 18, and 1 in 10 high school students has been hit, slapped, or physically hurt by a boyfriend or girlfriend.
Unfortunately, when youth find themselves in abusive relationships, they begin a pattern of abuse which could last the rest of their lives.
We are encouraging parents to talk to their children about healthy relationships that are free of violence, in control, and focused on respect and equality.
All right, we're back on the front porch here from the city market today. We're doing a special show with the Purdue Extension of Marion County, and we have Julie Gray with us, and we're going to talk about food preparation safety. Julie, we did start off the show with talking about putting a meal together, but what are some of the things that people can do to make sure that they are preparing meals safely?
Well, the first thing you need to do is to look at your recipe. That is probably the number one thing. Look at your recipe, read it thoroughly, make sure you have all of the ingredients and you understand what you're going to be doing. Oftentimes we look at the recipe and we see all of the ingredients and we think we just start putting them into the pan or the bowl in the order that they are. And oftentimes there are very important steps that we need to do in between the recipes. So read the recipe, understand it, and make sure that you have all of the ingredients.
Okay, so making sure you have everything kind of planned and prepare before you start executing it.
Exactly. Then the next thing we need to do is make sure everything is clean.
Okay.
We need to, Douglas, make sure our counters are clean. All of our utensils that we're going to be using are clean, and most importantly, I think we all know that we wash our hands before we cook.
Sure.
But it's important to wash our hands if we're interrupted. If the telephone rings during the time we're making something, someone comes to the door. So anytime we step away from the actual food preparation, we want to wash those hands again.
All right, and we'll talk a little bit about cross-contamination. I know at one time there was quite a visible discussion about cross-contamination between meats and products.
Exactly. With cross-contamination, what that actually means is we're spreading germs from raw products to products that have been cooked. So that actually begins when we're in the supermarket. When we're in the supermarket, we want to take our fresh meat and put it in the little baggies that we often use for produce. Many of our supermarkets have those bags available now. So separating raw products from other items in the grocery cart. When we bring those products home, we want to do the same thing in our refrigerator. We do not want to set just packages of meat on the top shelf of our refrigerator. Those juices could drip down onto other foods in the refrigerator. And then most importantly, when we're handling the meat. I have a cutting board here today. When we use a cutting board, we want to be sure that we use one that is not wooden.
Okay.
And we want to wash our cutting board between cutting and preparing raw meat and also cutting and preparing fruits and vegetables.
Even if they're going into the same dish?
Even if they're going into the same dish.
That's a good point. And what about the utensils that you're using?
Exactly. I brought a knife. It's important that when we're cutting and chopping that we use sharp knives. A myth is that sharp knives will cut. dull knives are more dangerous in the kitchen than a
Sure.
sharp knife is. I think we all know we want to cut away from ourselves. We don't want to use a knife and peel towards ourselves. But one of the things that simple mistake that beginners in the kitchen need to know is they need to know how to measure. So I've brought two types of measuring cups. This type of measuring cup we call a dry measuring cup. This is what we will be measuring our macaroni and our rice and even our vegetables in. If we were measuring flour and sugar, we would be able to use a knife, the back edge of a knife, and level the measuring cup off. This type of measuring cup is best used for liquids because you can actually get down. We do not want to hold the measuring cup up and look at the liquid because we can tilt it. So it's best if we set the liquid, pour into it, and get down eye level with it.
All right, great.
The last thing that I wanted to mention, Douglas, is we get a lot of questions about tablespoons and teaspoons. Tablespoon is the big one. Teaspoon is the little one.
All right. All right.
So that can make a big difference in your recipe.
So even as you talked about the cutting board and cleaning between that, should you do the same thing with your utensils between fresh meats?
Oh, exactly.
Okay.
You should always wash the utensils, cutting boards, and then when you're done, you want to clean up and make sure that everything is clean. Another key is if you're using an oven, make sure that it's preheated because that's very important too.
Okay, very good. So food safety is important, and you also have a little helpful hint guide for preparing your meal as well.
Right, this is what we call My Plate. I hope everyone has seen this. My Plate, as we look at it, half of our plate is fruits and vegetables. This was designed by health experts and nutritionists. Even Michelle Obama was important in bringing the plate out as a visual. We want to make sure that we eat more fruits and vegetables than anything else on our plate. We've got all of our food groups. We'll be using all of the food groups today in our skillet meal except for fruit. So we could have fruit on the side or even have some fruit in it. Pineapple is often good in our recipes.
That's
but
true.
this is called My Plate.
All right, great. And I noticed that you have dairy. Talk a little about the importance of water in your diet as well.
Oh, exactly. We just stay hydrated, particularly as we're coming into warm weather. It's important that we get plenty of fluids. We can get fluids through coffee, tea, milk, and juice, but nothing really substitutes for good old water.
Good old goes in. All right. So we've talked a little bit about food safety and preparation safety as well. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the programs around those type of products and safety.
Excellent.
All right. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back. Welcome back. We have Steve Wagner back with us, the director of Purdue Extension of Marion County. Steve, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the Purdue Extension of Marion County? Of course, you mentioned that we're 100 years celebration this year, but there's kind of an umbrella concept that you have of program areas, isn't that right?
Right. Extension is a national program, so every state chooses to administer their program based on what local needs say it needs to be.
Okay.
So every state is slightly different, and in Indiana we are fortunate that every county has its own extension program. And so there are 4 program areas that educators and staff work in, and one of them is Health and Human Sciences, which is the nutrition piece that we've already been talking about. They also do financial resource management. So Julie Gray and Christina Ferroli are 2 of the educators in that area, as well as Rebecca Haynes-Bordas. Then we have 4-H Youth Development, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Kiernan mentioned the robotics group, and so that's part of the 4-H Youth Development program area. We have 4 educators in that area, and they work to organize sustained groups for kids ages 5 to 19. And those groups are operated by trained volunteer leaders. So we have Naomi Bechtel, Jim Becker, Phyllis Harris, and Jeff Jones working in that program area. Then we have Economic and Community Development, and that's one of the newer areas for Extension nationally. It's been around for about 15 years or so, but they work in communities and neighborhoods to develop leaders, help organizations work more effectively, build human capacity so that communities improve their economic status. So there's a wide variety of programs that are very relevant in today's needs, and we have Carmen DeRocha and Georgia Conte in that area.
So as you're looking at the umbrella of Purdue Extension, you really started as an agricultural piece. how did that just kind of morph?
Well, and ironically, that's the actual program area that I haven't mentioned. It's agriculture and natural resources. So yes, that is how we began. In fact, I can use 4-H as an example. In the early 1900s, 4-H did start as primarily with boys, and so they found that kids were more receptive to research than adults were.
Sure.
And so they involved boys in corn clubs in Iowa. So those boys grew different types of corn and conducted research on behalf of the university professors. Then they found once they grew the corn that they needed to do something with it. So then they involved girls and they formed canning clubs.
Okay.
But projects today in 4-H are research-based but involve everything from video filmmaking to all kinds of computer programs. We have GPS and GIS programs. So the modern 4-H projects today, especially in an urban area, are much different than the agricultural roots. And that's true for all of our program areas.
I'm here to talk a little bit more about the program area of 4-H. We have Kieran coming back. Come on in, Kieran. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, good to be back.
Well, you brought a special friend with you. Is this part of your 4-H program?
Yes, this is part of the Robotics Club.
Okay.
The Digibytes.
Digibytes, okay?
Yep.
Digibytes Robotics Club. And how did you make that?
Well, this is the main part. It's the controller, which we have to program
Turn
to
that
get
toward the
this
camera
thing-
there a little bit, okay?
to get this moving.
Were there adults there to help you, or did you do this all on your own?
I did this all on my own with my other teammates.
Oh, okay, so you had a team working together. Who was the team leader?
There wasn't a team leader.
Just working together, all right? What other things do you do in 4-H?
Well, we go to meetings, and in this robotics club, there's actually a competition for it.
Ah, so when is the competition, or did you guys already have the competition?
The competition is in August at the state fair.
It sounds like it's going to be a great time. People come out and see the robotics competition.
Yep.
Of course, they can check the online for the schedule of those competitions, all of that. All right.
Yep.
Was there anything else you'd like to tell me about your experience with 4-H?
Well, it has been a fun time.
All right. That's what I like to hear. It's going to be a fun time. And it sounds like you learned a lot as well. All right, great. Thank you, Kieran, for joining us. And we'll talk to you a little bit later.
All right.
Thanks. We also have with us Phil Johnson. And Phil, come on in. You want to introduce Phil?
Sure. Phil Johnson is one of our Master Gardeners, and here in Marion County, it's a very large Master Gardener program. And so, as Phil will probably tell you, they're trained to answer all kinds of horticulture and gardening types of questions. It's a pretty big commitment as far as the amount of training they go through and then the volunteer service that they give back to the community. There's about 250 Master Gardeners in Marion County, so it is a very large program and one that's extremely active.
Well, Phil, tell us a little bit about the Master Gardener program. How did it get started?
Well, the Master Gardener program started nationally at Washington State University in 1971. But it wasn't until 1978 that we started in Indiana a Master Gardener program at Purdue Extension. And it began in 4 counties here, Allen, Lake, Marion County, and Vanderbilt County. And the first instructor in our Marion County Master Gardener program was noted radio host and extension employee Dick Crum. And when Dick retired in the late 90s, Steve Mayer took over as the Master Gardener instructor and director of the program. And Steve set up his own program to teach Master Gardeners, and he's very good. It consists of generally 18 classes, 3-hour classes that cover plant nutrition, soil science, insect pests, animal pests, you name it, we cover it.
Well, who is the class set up for? I mean, who should take this class?
People interested in gardening, and it's open to the general public. And we have the class, a new class that will be beginning in fall. And it's a wonderful program.
How often do the classes run?
Historically, we have run one in the fall and one in the spring.
So if somebody's really getting ready for next year, it'd be good to jump into the fall class so that you're ready to start planning early.
It would be good for anyone interested in taking the Master Gardener program to call our office and get on a waiting list because it fills up in a hurry.
I can imagine.
And a lot of people are waiting to take the class.
Steve also mentioned a kind of a community aspect to the Master Gardener program as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. All Master Gardeners are encouraged to volunteer their time. And one thing we have is an answer line, a telephone answer line. And we encourage the Master Gardeners, the new Master Gardeners, to volunteer their time and answer questions that are called in from the public. And it could be a question about why aren't my petunias growing well? What's wrong with this color? Or it could be about vegetables. And we get a lot of questions about tomatoes and cucumbers.
All right.
But we also get questions about bed bugs. So we field a lot of questions.
Fantastic. So they can call in, even though they're not a Master Gardener themselves, they can call in and talk to a Master Gardener.
Yes, they can.
And get some good advice, especially about the things that grow well here in Indiana.
Yes. May I give the phone number?
Yes, you may.
275-9292.
275-9292.
And that rings directly in our office, and Master Gardener will answer the phone and attempt to answer your question while you're on the phone. But if it's not, we always get back to the person calling in.
All right. Phil, one of the things that you had mentioned before was that they have a demonstration project going on at the State Fairground, right?
That is correct. We have an All-America Selection demonstration garden, and it consists of two parts. It's roughly 8,000 square feet of garden space divided into a vegetable garden and also a flower garden. And we grow all kinds of flowers, and as you would guess, they're pretty spectacular.
I can imagine.
And we grow some spectacular vegetables also, but like any garden, we're afflicted with some of the pests and diseases that occasionally come about.
All right, so the garden is an opportunity for somebody to stop by, take a look and see how things are laid out.
Yes.
And talk to a Master Gardener about what's best to do to resolve some of those issues that you guys run into as well.
Yes, we are open it's open all the time, but we are especially open during the State Fair.
State Fair, okay.
And last year, 2013, we had over 13,000 visitors to the demonstration garden.
Oh, that is wonderful.
But they can come by our garden and stroll around through it. It's a wonderful place to relax from the bustle of the State Fair, and they can enjoy talking with us if they want to.
And that's on the north side of the fairgrounds, right?
It's on the north side. Most people will know the area as the fishing pond,
okay,
or the Department of Natural Resources building, but we're immediately adjacent to that. It's a wonderful place to relax for a while.
Well, Phil, thank you for stopping by, and we'll be right back.
Only you can make this dog's dream come true. Visit Indianapolis Animal Care and Control and find a companion animal today.
Welcome back to On the Front Porch. We're here at City Market talking to Purdue Extension of Marion County, and to speak about more programs that Purdue Extension offers to our community, I have Emily Eggleston here with us. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us, Norma.
All right, so I understand that you're a Purdue Extension educator. Can you explain to us what urban agriculture is?
Sure, yeah. I'm the urban agriculture educator, and so the way that we think about urban agriculture is that it's everything that has to do with the production and consumption of food locally.
Okay.
So that's the farmer who's growing food in the city, that's the businesses that are processing and distributing food, people that are retailing it, grocers, farmers market, restaurants that source locally, and then of course the consumer. And so the people that are actually buying and eating local foods are all a part of the urban agricultural system. And we actually include waste at the end of all of that too, things like composting in our program as well.
Great. So I understand that Purdue Extension is now endeavoring into this. How are they doing that?
Right, well, we decided to emphasize urban agriculture in our programming, in part by adding my position. I'm 2 months into this position, and we decided to make urban agriculture and that whole system of local foods that I just described more a part of what we are supporting in our office. We think that's important because there are people all over the city, organizations, individuals, who are working in the area of urban agriculture and local foods to revitalize their neighborhoods, to strengthen local economies, to make the city a healthier place and the people healthier, and also to work on just basic food access issues. So by adding this emphasis of urban agriculture to our office, we see it as a way to engage and support with those people doing that work and to participate in it ourselves even more fully than we already are.
Right. So what are some of the initial steps that Purdue has taken in this endeavor?
Well, we've been working in this area for years, actually, in the area of community gardening, which is part of urban agriculture. And so we've partnered with schools and neighborhood organizations and community associations. Anyone that's been interested in starting a community garden has asked for our help. We've been a part of that. But now what we'd like to do is work more fully in the rest of that system. So there's a lot of small businesses that make up the rest of that local food system. So we would love to, in my position, start providing more resources to those people and helping strengthen local foods and urban agriculture businesses that are growing in Indianapolis.
That sounds great. So what are some other organizations or agencies that Purdue Extension in Marion County is partnering with?
Well, you're going to hear a lot about that because across all 4 of our program areas, we partner with an incredible number of organizations. For urban agriculture specifically, we're in a lot of schools already. We have the other members of our urban agriculture team have many relationships with schools, and then also the master gardeners help a lot with helping getting gardens and food growing started on an individual level as well.
Right. So, and I know that because it's a new endeavor, that if other organizations are interested, how would they be able to get connected?
Well, I am in the process of meeting and talking to as many people as possible, so if someone is interested, I would love to hear from them. You can call me, email me. I'm at a lot of different community meetings, and so if you see me, please just come up and say hi, introduce yourself, and know that we're excited to partner.
Emily, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
All right, so can you explain to us a little bit about what 4-H program is?
Well, 4-H is the oldest youth program in the United States, and it's done through the cooperative extension system nationwide. And so through Purdue Extension, which we are part of a land grant system. So 4-H has been a program here since probably the 1930s when we originally had corn clubs in Indiana. So a lot of people in Indianapolis probably don't know exactly what 4-H is because it's a very urban community, and think, well, we're all livestock and sheep and horses, and well, we have a lot of that stuff still, and in fact we have a very large horse club and 70 members strong now. But we're also largely going into technology and so forth. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today was a technology program called Tech Wizards that we recently started here this year. And it comes to us with through funding from the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, and is funded through the National Mentoring Program and National 4-H. And so our director, Renee McGee, received a grant, and we have started this program here in Indianapolis this year.
Oh, that's great.
We have 3 sites that are after-school programs, and so each site we're developing programs with technology for youth to come and do about 1 to 2 hours per week. And then we also try to line them up with adult mentors who can talk to them about career development and so forth. So the technology is really a very small part of it, but it's that hook that makes them excited about it.
That's great. So how is that development program changing and evolving in Marion County?
Well, I'd say that we're trying to adapt to people's lives, and a lot of what we have done is going to the after-school programs. We still have the traditional 4-H clubs, but then we're trying to create clubs in different settings. So, like the Youth Center, the KI Eco Center, the Faligi Hiwatt Center, which is another program on, I believe, on Sheldon Street. And so they do a lot of work with after schools. We actually go into the schools a lot. There are 4 of us 4-H educators. We have Jeff Jones, myself, Naomi Bechtold, and Phyllis Harris. And so we do a lot. We all have our own backgrounds, and mine was in community development and technology. Jeff Jones does a lot with gardening and so forth, and then we have financial management with Naomi, and I don't know if they mentioned it earlier, but Phyllis Harris has been working with our new robotics program.
Right. We heard about that. Kieran made a little demonstration.
Yes. Yeah, Kieran's one of our stars in that program.
That's great. So if any community organizations or are interested, or families are interested in 4-H, how will they get connected?
They can contact us at our office at 275-9305 and also through our website. We all have email addresses available, of course, but the main thing would be to go through our main 4-H secretary in our 4-H in the Extension office.
And we'll be showing the information, how to contact the Marion County Purdue Extension.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much, Phil, for being here today.
Thank you.
And next we have Georgia County with Marion County. Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Good
Thank
to see
you for being here today.
Thank you.
All right. So can you share with us what your role is at Purdue Extension in Marion County?
Okay. Well, I'm one of 2 educators in the Economic and Community Development faculty.
Okay.
My other colleague is Carmen DeRusha. What we basically do in that particular area for what we do with Extension is really kind of work with people and develop people to achieve their highest potential.
Okay.
And by achieving their highest potential, they are also able to work within the organizations with which they work to help them achieve their strategic goals and growth. So by doing so, we help people get better, and we help the city gets better, and everybody gets better. So our main focus has been to build community capacity and help people in terms of creating systems where we help with creating structures for better decision making and really focus on bigger public deliberative processes.
So how do you implement these programs in Marion County?
Okay, we do them in a variety of ways. In fact, I'm going to focus on a couple of things that we do. In terms of building community capacity, we work with the quality of life plans within the city. I work with the Northwest Quality of Life Plan and the Mid-North Quality of Life Plan. And what we typically do is to kind of help and support, equip, and kind of enable and empower people within the community to really live up to their aspirations. So they set up goals as to things that they want to do. We kind of help to guide them through, achieving those things. One of the other programs that, we do here really is to do with leadership development. My colleague, Carmen DeRusha, really provides a leadership program that is really in Spanish. So, the whole thing is translated into Spanish, and we actually, this is becoming an international city right now.
Yes,
so
it is.
What we are also trying to do is to be able to embrace the different cultures, especially the Hispanic culture, into our leadership development programs. We also have a leadership program called Leadership Marion County. And Leadership Marion County kind of focuses on 3 areas of development. We focus on, looking at self, looking at how you work with other people and how you create value for others. So those are the, 2 of the typical programs that we do, and I'll be happy to go more into details if you want more.
All right. Well, So what are some of the ways that you help the neighborhoods and the organizations work together and with Purdue Extension?
Okay, so what we basically do, which falls within the mission of Purdue Extension, is really provide educational programs and build the intellectual capacity of communities. And the way we do that is to be a convener. Be a convener and a support, and also offer, technical support and technical advice to help people do what they want. We normally don't do things for people, but we help them to do what they want to do. So we kind of facilitate, processes and kind of help them to understand structures that makes community work. So that's basically some of the things that we do.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, George, thank you so much for sharing your information, what you do, and what Purdue Extension does for the community. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be right back.
The next 30 seconds can save you a lot of money. Just do your laundry in cold and stick to full loads. Auto-sleep your computers. Plug your gadgets in a power strip and switch it off when you're done. Headed out? Turn back your thermostat by 10 degrees. And drive sensibly. The more energy you save, the more money you save. Find other great tips at energysaver.gov.
Welcome back to On the Front Porch. We're still here at the City Market, and we started the show by starting off a couple of dishes with Kiernan and Steve, and here's the results of what we were able to create. It looks fantastic, but the basis of that was nutrition, wasn't it, Julie?
That was, and the premise is these are quick. What we did is we put the ingredients that Steve and Kiernan selected into their skillets. We added some liquid, milk, water, even something like a healthy stock to it. We needed some liquid because our pasta wasn't cooked. We put a lid on, and in 20 minutes this was done.
Oh, this is fantastic.
Yeah, we used an electric skillet for purposes here today, but at home we would use a frying pan.
Sure.
So again, to review, we've got something from every food group. We've got whole grains in both recipes. We've got fish or another protein source in each of the dishes. Vegetables, we use canned vegetables, we use low sodium canned vegetables, and we also use fresh vegetables. We sprinkled a little cheese on top of these to give them some color and some additional calcium and dairy. But bottom line, these are going to be quick, nutritious, very, very inexpensive, and foods that we would be using either we would have on hand or could very inexpensively purchase or get from a food pantry.
And of course, we always want to remember our food safety. We talked about serve safe, as well as things that you need to do just in your general kitchen to make sure that you stay safe.
Right. And the last thing with this dish is that what we didn't talk about, we talked about all the food safety before, during, and now after this dish is prepared. We want to keep this dish hot. Hot food's hot, cold food's cold. And with this particular recipe, once everyone is done eating, we want to take the food, put it into some other kind of a covered dish, and immediately put it into the refrigerator. Douglas, it's okay to put hot foods into the refrigerator.
Oh, okay. You don't have to wait for an hour to cool them down.
Don't have to wait for them to cool down.
Wrap them up and get them in there.
Wrap them up and get them in there.
All right, that's fantastic.
The last thing that we didn't mention is we did use a wide variety of spices and seasonings instead of salt. Okay. We used some Italian seasoning. This is a salt-free product. We can use garlic, we can use chili powders, peppers, even lemon and fresh herbs instead of salt or sodium in the dishes that we prepare today.
And a lot of the sauces that you end up using, or the vegetables even that are coming in a can, have some sodium in it, so you don't have to add a lot of salt.
No, and if we're using fresh is best, and if we're using canned products, we can't, or canned vegetables, we can purchase those without sodium or salt added.
That's true, that's true. Well, and part of what you do, and part of what the whole program for the Purdue Extension of Marion County, they work with some of the schools, right?
Yes, we do work with schools. We work with children, adults, pregnant women, and elderly. But to answer your question with schools, we go into schools and we work with kids, helping them understand nutrition, introducing them to a wide variety of foods, new foods from each of the food groups, letting them actually prepare the food so they can taste them, as well as having a physical activity component to each of the lessons that we do or sessions we do in the schools.
Let's bring Kiernan back out. Kiernan, why don't you come on? Kiernan is one of the young men that are part of the school program. What school are you at?
Fishback.
Fishback. And who's your adult leader there?
Steve Hurt.
And one of the things that we have is adult volunteers that help the kids out as they connect in the school programs for 4-H, right?
Yeah.
All right. And you have a great time?
Really fun.
All right. That's great. Thanks for coming out today. Yeah. And we also have Steve Wagner, who is the executive director Thanks, Steve, for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
It seems like we had a really full program, and I really appreciate you coming and sharing about the Purdue Extension of Marion County.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity.
And of course, this is the 100th year.
Correct.
Is there going to be any special program specifically to celebrate the 100 year?
Well, here in Marion County, the actual anniversary was May 8th.
May 8th,
And so
okay.
we have a garden that's going in at the governor's residence. We had a couple of landscape design students from Purdue who worked with our master gardeners and some of our extension staff to design the garden. And then the governor's wife helped us pick out some of the plants. It's going to be at 46th and Meridian, right on the corner of the residence property. And then also there's a little bit of garden on each side of the actual entrance to the garden. We also have a historical timeline that we're working on for our office at Discovery Hall on the Indiana State Fairgrounds. And on that timeline we'll have archived pictures of how Extension used to be in the early 1900s and how it has progressed and some of the key events that have happened over the last 100 years for Marion County. During the county fair, we'll have a booth, and we'll also have some displays for people to see to learn about our history. And then during the Indiana State Fair, August 8th is the actual Extension Day at the State Fair. There'll be an Extension picnic and a parade and some more displays for people to learn, as well as a demonstration garden, all to learn about our history here in Marion County.
Well, that's great. You're doing a wonderful job here in Marion County. We want to make sure that we get the word out. And under full disclosure, I am a former 4-H'er as well. So it's always a pleasure to highlight great programs here in Marion County that can help improve the quality of life for our youth as well as for our adults. So thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you very much for having us.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
And we'll be right back.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back on the front porch. As we're wrapping up the show, of course, we get a chance to sample some of the fare. I think it's going to be wonderful. It looks delicious. If we can get it on the fork, let's run away. Oh, that is really good.
This is tuna. This is really good.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'll have to try some of that in just a minute. We want to take the time to thank our guests from the Purdue Extension of Marion County, and also thank you for joining us today. And Norma, where can they get a little bit more information?
Well, they can visit our website at www.indy.gov/frontporch. We would also like to thank City Market for allowing us to use this space for this special show.
Well, thank you so much. And Norma, thank you for being a co-host. And we'll see you next time on the front porch, where we inform our community and connect our neighbors to resources that help improve the quality of their life. I'm Douglas Harrison, and for Norma, have a great day.